It's 78 degrees inside my apartment right now. Hello, welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today it is a Sunday Stuff and Things, and it's really warm. It's kind of weird. I seem to talk about the weather a lot on this because as someone who does construction, I am affected by the weather much more than a lot of other people might be. And so I'm always very aware of the weather. And we have had a very mild spring. It's been very cool. There was a lot of rain in April, but it's gotten a little less now the last couple weeks. But it's supposed to get to 70 degrees outside today and then 77 by Sunday. Crazy. That's unheard of. It's barely hit 60 for the last couple weeks. But anyway, I'm going to kind of enjoy it. I'm going to walk outside in a t-shirt today, and it's going to be kind of exciting. But lots of stuff's been going on. I have something to talk about today that is very near and dear to my heart. I got to do something that was very exciting. I was kind of pinching myself and grinning throughout the entire time that I was doing this thing. I need to adjust this. This doesn't look right at all. Hold on, gang. There we go. Get a little closer. So I want to talk about this. It's something that I have to talk about because it's exciting to me. I don't know if you're going to care at all, but we'll get into that. We have upcoming videos to talk about. We have the subject that is near and dear to my heart that I just mentioned, where I got to see one of my favorite current existing bands play, and it was very exciting and very fun. We will, of course, have your questions, comments, and feedback in hashtag askstuffandthings. And then we will do Patreon shoutouts and updates at the end as per usual. So kind of on a high from what happened the other day. So let's get into it. All right, gang, what can you look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon coming up? Well, this coming week, a very important video to me, and I think it's super important if you're into photography at all, or just into organization. It's important to keep proper files and proper organization, and especially if you're doing film photography. I really hope people check this video out. I'm hoping that maybe it'll draw people from outside who are looking into this kind of thing, because it was really important to me and it's really helped me a lot. It's basically how I organize my film negatives and the digital files of those negatives. I have a system that I'm really happy with. It might seem kind of tedious, but it has made it really nice and easy for me to categorize my images and have everything perfectly in its place. I know exactly where everything is. And in the future, when I have, 20 binders filled with negatives and hundreds and thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but thousands of digital files of those negatives, I will be able to perfectly locate any picture that I need to locate. And so it's important. Check that out. After that, exclusive to Patreon, we will have the Pesse Canoe. I still have no idea how to pronounce that. It's Gladora. The series is Pesse Canoe, and then the blend is Latakia Flake 20. I did the first impressions video of that last week, and we'll have the full review exclusive to Patreon coming up soon. And then after that, an interesting video, and one that I think is becoming more and more relevant all the time, and it is why film photography is relevant again. And it has to do with generative AI, as you may have been able to guess. And it's kind of a discussion video. I bring up some things that I've been thinking about a lot and things that are kind of in the ether going around. So that'll be a fun one. I think I'm going to be doing a journal review soon as well. And we might do an update on the Me Plus notebooks that I got recently. So some journal stuff coming up. And then I think there's actually a Ask Stuff and Things question about this. Yeah. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the other stuff that'll be showing up on the channel in regards to this question that will be asked soon. So lots of good stuff coming up. Please stay tuned. I'm in this location sitting in front of my computer, by the way, because I was just recording a video in which I was showing pictures and stuff on my computer screen. That's why I'm here. Okay, so the thing I've been super excited about, I should have had it out right now. Ugh, I'm not wearing it. Well, that's okay. I think I need to wash it anyway. One of my favorite bands of all time are the Cribs. Is the Cribs? They are from Wakefield in the UK. They came around during that initial wave in the early mid 2000s of the guitar-driven kind of indie rock band. The Libertines and especially the Strokes really kind of kicked the door open for that, and there was kind of a wave of bands, especially coming out of the UK, that were kind of riding on that. The Cribs were kind of grouped with all those bands to begin with, but they just keep plugging away. I think their first album came out in 2006-ish, maybe, right around there, and for about 20 years now, they just keep putting out album after album, and they're all good. Every single album is good. They haven't dropped off. They are three brothers. Gary and Ryan are identical twins. Gary plays bass and sings. Ryan plays guitar and sings. And then their younger brother, Ross, plays drums. They've had other members in the past. Well, one particular, they had Johnny Marr from the Smiths was playing guitar with them, playing second guitar. And I think sometimes when they tour, they have an extra guitar player. Every time I've seen them live, they only have the three brothers in the band. And I have seen them only 3 times now. They haven't toured a ton in the US, or it's been a long time since they've come to Seattle anyway. And we're going to get into this because Seattle is kind of pissing me off about all this. But they just released a new album in January. I think I might have mentioned it on the Sunday Stuff and Things when it came out. It's called Selling a Vibe, and it is so good. If you haven't checked out the Cribs Selling a Vibe, you should definitely do that. In fact, I think I've had a couple messages from people or comments of people mentioning that I had talked about the Cribs and that they had looked into the Cribs after that and really enjoyed them. So that's great. They are a fantastic band. But they've stuck around and they've been really good. And I think one of the reasons is because they never got too famous. They're pretty well known in the UK and they can play big festivals, you know, like Glastonbury and things like that. And they'll play bigger, I don't know if they play giant arenas, but they'll play big concert halls and stuff. They're well regarded amongst, you know, other musicians and stuff. They're not as well known in the US, and I'm going to get into that. It's kind of annoying to me, but they just have maintained this excellent level of quality. They evolve, but they still hold on to kind of the essential thing that makes them good. The thing that if you were into them from the very first album, which I was, sometimes it happens with a band where you love the sound on their first album, and then by the 6th, they don't sound anything like what they used to. They're not anywhere near the same band at all. And you want people to be able to evolve and to change and to grow, but you also don't want them to lose that kind of important little kernel that made you like them to begin with. And the Cribs have done a great job of not reinventing themselves, but evolving and growing, but still being the Cribs. They're just fantastic. I love them. And I saw when their album came out, they had announced a European tour, and I was desperately hoping that they would be doing a US tour because it's been a very long time. The last time they toured was in 2017, I think, in the US. And so I was really hopeful, kept waiting. Finally, they announced US shows, and they announced a show in Seattle, because sometimes when they tour the US, they don't do Seattle. And I think I understand why. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I jumped on as quickly as I could, got tickets to go. My older brother got a ticket as well, and we were all excited. It was going to be on a Wednesday, which is not ideal, a middle of the week show, and it's a good hour and a half to drive down to Seattle. And then by the time the show is over, you're going to be home very, very late if you don't stay down there. And I wasn't going to be staying down there. But anyway, I've been very excited, looking forward to this show. And it finally came about. I drove down, and it was going to be at Sunset Tavern in Ballard. So Ballard is a part of Seattle. It used to be more of kind of a working class neighborhood, more affordable. Now nothing is affordable in Seattle, and there's still kind of an industrial quality to it, but it's been pretty gentrified, and there are a lot of, you know, young people in bars and things like that. But I had never been to this place, the Sunset Tavern. I drove down, got parking, met up with my brother outside. I went in and I was flabbergasted by how tiny the room was. It's kind of like a bar in front, and then there's a room in the back with a stage. It was maybe, I don't know, 40 feet by 60 feet. And I immediately kind of got mad because the Cribs are amazing, but every time I've seen them in Seattle, they're playing small venues to fairly small crowds. And it just pisses me off that when I see them playing the tour that they just did in the UK and in Europe, I don't know if they've done Europe yet. They did UK dates. But it shows them, their opening show. I can't remember if it was Brighton or somewhere. They're playing a giant concert hall. It's filled to the gills. Everyone's freaking out. It's a bunch of younger people as well, maybe older people too, because they've been around for 20 years. But it's just this crazy environment. Everyone loves them. Everyone's singing along to all the songs. They do the weird British thing. People in the UK, if you're watching this, again, why do people in the UK do along to everything in the song? They're not just singing the lyrics, but there's a song, there's a Crib song called Another Number, where it's like, there's a guitar line that's like, and so when they start playing that song, everyone in the crowd goes, do 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 do. And so the whole time they're playing, everyone is doing to the guitar lines the entire time. And I'm all for people being excited and enthusiastic, but it kind of ruins the experience of listening to the music. I don't know, maybe if I were there, I would just be so into it. But anyway, that's an aside. I just always notice that with like UK crowds at festivals or even at like concert halls and stuff, they always do to the songs. Anyway, they have huge enthusiastic crowds in the UK. Their album, when they released it in the UK, when it went to number 5, I think, 4 or 5, they come to the US, they come to Seattle. And here's another thing. I've read interviews with the brothers in the Cribs where they loved the idea of Seattle. They were obsessed with Nirvana and a lot of the bands from the 90s in Seattle. They thought of Seattle as this amazing place for music and punk and all these things. And then they come to Seattle and they play this tiny place, Sunset Tavern. And yes, it was full, but how full was full? When it's like a 40 by 60 room, a lot of the people were older. I mean, I'm one of those older people. People were enthusiastic, but they weren't like moshing and stage diving and crowd surfing like they were. Actually, one older woman did crowd surf for a while at the show. But just compared to the kind of crowds they get in the UK, I get kind of embarrassed for Seattle. I don't know if it's like this everywhere in the country where the Cribs have played, but whenever I've seen them in Seattle, it's been smaller venues, and I just wish they had more recognition in Seattle, a place that they put a lot of store in. It was exciting for them to ever get to play Seattle, when they were teenagers listening to Nirvana and things like that. So I just wish it was better there. But the show was so good. They played for a good hour and a half. It's the three brothers, and I don't know. I'll be playing some footage here and there. I don't know how much I can do. I worry about copyright strikes and stuff like that. But just to give you an idea of the atmosphere, obviously all the audio is really muffled and crappy because when you record on an iPhone, it just like compresses everything down and tries to attenuate it so it's not too loud. But it sounded amazing in the room. That is one thing. It made it an amazing experience to see them in such a small room because I was literally like 3 people back from the stage. I could have reached out and touched them if I wanted to. The sound was great. I got a sneaky picture of Ryan Jarman's guitar pedal board because I'm interested in that kind of thing. But maybe I'll put a couple clips here and there so you can just get a feel of the music and a feel of the show.
After I keep it calm, while we're high, the sadness
Like I said, the iPhone clips don't really do it justice, but it was fantastic. I was grinning from ear to ear the entire time. I was so excited, and it was such a great experience. One of the best live shows I've seen. I mean, it's been a while. The last, like, kind of bigger band that I saw live was the Strokes in 2020, right before COVID. They're actually touring this summer too, but they're doing a big arena show. It's like at the Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, and I don't really like sitting in a giant arena to watch a band. I prefer the kind of, I don't know. A bar show is great. I wish the Cribs could play a little bit bigger than a bar show, but anyway, the Strokes are great live, but the Cribs are really great live as well. If you ever have the opportunity, you should check them out. Check out their back catalog. Every album is good. And yeah, fantastic experience. I'm still pinching myself. All right, thank you for indulging me with that. I know maybe some of you don't care about the Cribs at all, but I do, and I was very excited to see them live. But now, it is time for hashtag askstuffandthings. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, you can tweet at SAT Bradley with the hashtag askstuffandthings. But you probably shouldn't, because nobody does, and I never read Twitter anyway, even though somebody did yell at me the other day because they said, well, they weren't yelling, but they said, hey, I wrote to you on Twitter a long time ago and you never answered. I was like, sorry. Or you can leave questions, or no, you can write to me via Patreon, go right to the front of the line. That's what that person did after I didn't answer them on Twitter. You can hit that super thanks button under this video and go right to the front of the line, or you can leave questions, comments, and feedback in the comment section of my YouTube videos. Just like, or actually not just like Ted Stryker, he wrote to me via Patreon, and Ted said, I'm not sure how that pesky hair got in there. So he was the one who sent me a little care package that had, what was it called again? Curly Block? And there was a hair on it. Sorry to hear they took away the porta potties. Perhaps the hunting blind could come in handy after all. And yes, Ted had sent me a cool hunting blind as well. Kind of inside jokes there, but thank you, Ted, very much. Next, we have at Randy Waldron, who said, what usually goes unmentioned when talking about the Sunny 16 rule? So I was talking about how the local light where you are taking pictures has a huge effect on the look of your pictures, and you might kind of, your own style might evolve to match the kind of light that you encounter most often. And then talking about Sunny 16, how in Bellingham, Washington, it's Sunny 11. Sunny 16 rule is the fact that back in 1960, film manufacturers changed how they rated black and white films. Prior to this date, an extra stop of speed was factored in. In 1960, they decided in unison to forego this practice in a move which allowed them to upgrade their films by one stop without actually bothering to change their films in actual speed. The upshot of all this is that Sunny 16 should actually be Sunny 11. That sounds wrong to me. This is good information, and it is true that they did change the box speed, so I don't want to get too technical on this with people who don't care about photography, but if they were to, my understanding is that they changed that because light meters were becoming more common and more accurate. So if you had a film that was rated at, 200, but it was actually 400 speed, they would do that 200 rating and tell people this film is slower than you think it is, because then when people exposed it, they would get fewer complaints if people overexposed it than they would if they underexposed it. Because it's easier when you're doing film and you're printing and everything, you can get those highlights back more easily than you can get detail out of the shadows that you missed out if you underexpose the film. So they were erring on the side of overexposing for people who were just kind of dead reckoning their exposures. So if you were saying, oh, it's Sunny 16, and you were doing that with a film that was 200 speed, you would have an overexposed image by one stop. But then if that film was suddenly rated 400 speed and you had a more accurate light meter and you still did Sunny 16, but you were shooting it at 1/400, then it would be more properly exposed. So I think Sunny 16 should still work fine. You're just not factoring in that one stop of overexposure. But anyway, interesting stuff. Next, we have at Michael Case, who says, in color film photography, especially in slides, the color temperature is also a factor. In shooting outdoors, getting the natural color quality you want, you need to know the temp of the light in that time of day. To do this, you would use a color temp meter, and according to the reading you get, you would use a color correction filter on the lens, and you would be in business. Of course, no problem in digital. Yeah, it's interesting. The whole thing with white balance, I am not a white balance changer. So when I'm shooting digitally, I keep my white balance the same no matter where I am or what I am doing. And the reason I do that, I just put it like daylight balance, 5100 to 5600 Kelvin, because I want the quality of light to show in the picture. If I'm always making it so that this sheet of paper would be white, like perfectly white in every picture, it might look technically correct, but then that's not how I see the world. On a sunny day at twilight, there is a golden glow, and that wouldn't show up the same way if I tried to balance my white balance for that. I want to just keep it at daylight balanced, and then that golden glow shows up more. And then if it's the middle of winter and the light looks kind of cold and blue, I want that to show up more. And it does if I just keep the white balance. So there will be a color cast to those images, and they may not technically be correct, but that's how you see things in those situations. So that's why I like to keep the white balance the same all the time. And with film, I mean, it doesn't matter in black and white, but if you're doing color film, they're usually always daylight balanced. And so unless you are using the filters like you mentioned, it will have different casts of color. Interesting. At Flint Hills Briar, Gareth says, I started out thinking that you needed lots and lots of contrast for good black and white photos. I recently have realized how much there is to explore in all the shades of gray in between. Yeah, I've been really into the tones. I think, especially in this era of Instagram, where something really punchy and high contrasty, I think gets you noticed more. I am really kind of gravitating more towards just the absolute entire spectrum of all the different tones that you can get from black to white. I like that. At John Jones says, what happened to guitars, guns, knives, wallets, pens, journals, boots, and snacks? This used to be where the cool guys came to seek honest reviews on manly gear and such. I have nothing against photography, but if it's not our thing, there's no reason to visit your channel anymore. I'm happy you found something that you're passionate about, however. Best of luck in the future. Thanks, John Jones, for watching. I do whatever comes up, basically. So I did a journal thing a while ago. I will do more as they come up. I have sort of stopped because one of my most popular videos on the channel is the Midori Traveler's Notebook review. I still regularly get people wanting to send me notebooks. And usually it's just a notebook. And there's not much more to say about notebooks. You know, like how many times can you talk about the quality of the paper? Or, you know, unless it's some radically different system for organizing your notebook, how much can I say about a notebook? I don't know. So it seems to me that even though those videos do get pretty good views when I put them out, I'm kind of bored doing notebook reviews. But if something comes up and something is interesting, I'll do it. I'll do boots if I get a new pair of boots, but I haven't gotten a new pair of boots in forever because boots are really expensive and I don't really have any options. People aren't sending me free pairs of like $800 boots. I did get something recently though. I'm gonna go grab that. Oh, baby. This is a coat that I got on eBay a while back, and it is beautiful. It is a shot coat. It's their A2, I think. It's like a sort of a facsimile of an A2 bomber jacket, but not quite. But I was able to get this on eBay for a ridiculously cheap price because it didn't have the detachable collar or the lining, and I got those separately. But it is beautiful. I love it. And so I probably will do a review on this at some point. But yes, photography is something that I do every day. And so it's something that I'm going to be talking about a lot on the channel because this channel has always been the stuff and things that I am currently interested in. And like I said, when other things come up, I will fit them in to videos. But yeah, it's going to be pretty photography focused because that's the thing that I do more than anything else in my free time. Anyway, we have some feedback from the First Impressions Gladora Pesse Canoe Latakia Flake 20. I can never get through that entire name without screwing something up. First, we had Ted Stryker who said, very interesting indeed. I had nearly the exact same reaction to this blend. Also, its light, subtle character for its blend type plays well with the warmer weather that's setting in now that spring has arrived. Thanks for the impressions. Looking forward to the full review. Cheers. Thank you, Ted, for sending on so many cool things for me to check out. Next, Ramo Geisel says, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Gladora. Gladora has more Latakia and Oriental blends in different percentages, and they are all worth it. Even the aromatics they have are great as non-aromatic essers. No black Cavendish gloopiness, no overly sweet aromas. They really take the less is more to heart. Subtle aromatization that complements and elevates the base teas. Yeah, the Pesse Canoe is a very interesting blend to me. And if you have not tried it and are interested in a very Turkish blend that is a Latakia blend, but not the kind of Latakia blend that you might expect, you should definitely check it out. And like I said, full review coming soon. Anyway, thanks for all that feedback. Please keep it coming in. It really helps make the show go. All right, gang, but now it is time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. Remember, if you would like to support Stuff and Things on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and it is much appreciated. It is pretty much the reason I'm able to keep making these videos. YouTube ain't what it used to be as far as views and revenue, so your support on Patreon is more important than ever. $5 a month gets you in. You get early and ad-free access to all the videos that I post on YouTube, and you also get exclusive access to all the videos that are pipe-related that I post on YouTube now. I had to take all the pipe stuff off of YouTube. All the new pipe stuff goes on Patreon, and a bunch of the old pipe stuff is still being moved over there. The archive of all my old pipe blend reviews, those are up every Thursday. And then Monday is the early and ad-free access to the YouTube stuff. And then a new pipe video, when that happens, goes on Monday as well. So every week we like to shout out those who support us at $25 or more a month on Patreon, the producers of Stuff and Things. People like Jason Buckner, Arcturus, Ashes of the Phoenix, The Friendly Piper, GreatGrol, Glenn, Just Glenn, David Severin, Nicholas James, Kyle Whitmore, Mr. Gibson, Chris Caughey, Ryan McFadin, Ted Stryker, and GandalfTheGrey himself. And then, of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support Stuff and Things at $100 a month. People like stolid, dependable Bob Magee. And we'll never forget our dearly departed friend and Hall of Fame member, Peter Straub. Gang, how much time do I have left? We got to get this in. What can you look forward to exclusively on Patreon this week? Well, it won't be exclusive, but it'll be early and ad-free. On Monday, you will have the digital file negative organization. I know that sounds so boring, but it's good. It's a really good video. And then on Thursday, we have from the archive, Cornell and Deal, Old Joe Krantz. Interesting blend. That review came out originally on February 8th, 2017. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for all the other good stuff coming up on Stuff and Things and Stuff and Things Patreon. Oh, if you haven't checked out the Cribs, you definitely should. They're amazing. I think they still have a couple shows in Canada to come. So if you're up there, and then maybe they haven't done Europe yet, I can't remember. But if you have the chance to see them live, definitely take it. Anyway, until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a Sunday Stuff and Things. I'll see you later. I had 10 seconds left before it auto turned off. Excellent.